Hi there and welcome back to Japan and to our World Tour Wednesdays, where today I'll be checking out AKRONA with Liki Bessmertnykh Bogov. You can tell I can't speak the language. As always, if you want to see the reaction, this is the review. I just did the reaction, and you can watch that by pausing this video, clicking the little link in the description below, just in case you want to open up a separate YouTube player and watch my face reacting to the song, in case maybe you haven't heard the song before, maybe you just want to see how I reacted to it on first listen. Either way, I'm about to give you my review, because I've just listened to the song for the first time, and you know, it was quite an interesting one. So are you ready for it? If you want to watch the reaction, pause this video now. Otherwise, here comes the review. Don't say I didn't warn you. Okay, this was a really interesting one on a lot of levels. Now, as you guys know, when you recommended this to me, I have a bit of an interesting relationship with metal music, which I would classify this as being. And I'm into all styles of music. I'm into all genres of music. To varying degrees. You know, I don't think there's a genre that I don't like something in. But metal, I always say, it's kind of difficult a lot of the time for metal to do something which really stands out and is impressive, because there's so many metal acts and there's been so many metal songs, and it is a genre that as a general limits you to a certain set of sounds and writing styles. You know, it is very riff based as a general. You know, you always have to have guitar very prominent, bass and drums, and there tends not to be a room for a huge amount of other instruments to come in on that. It does make it a very difficult one for anything to stand out. Now, this is an example to me of an artist or a songwriting style where they seem to be aware of that, and they seem to be looking for ways to, they obviously love metal, and they're looking for ways to make metal more interesting, perhaps bring a bit of their cultural side into it as well. But there was a mixture of that, and it also seemed to be a real sort of emotional intent to this song. It seemed to be a soundscape. Like I said, it was almost a theatrical quality. There was a message, there was a feeling. Obviously, I didn't understand the lyrics, so I didn't know it. I'd be really interested to know what it was about. However, it really came across the sense of drama. So the most positive things about this were both the intent, the feeling that it really had a context, even if I didn't understand it, and also the choice of sounds. And this covered most of the song. When it first came in, it was like, okay, you know, the interesting thing was that they were going for that tripleted 1-2-3, 1-2-3, 1-2-3 style beat. And that was kind of a nice place to start from. But then there was the tones, like the way that the acoustic guitar, the picking of the acoustic guitar came in. Her vocal style, which I'm assuming it kind of sounds almost like a folky style of singing, so I'm assuming it's probably traditional to the country from which this comes. As always, guys, let me know the country. It probably was mentioned in the original chat, so I copied the original chat where I got the suggestion from, so apologies if I missed that. You know, it had a sort of folky sound where it really sounded like it was of the country, so to speak. Not knowing what the country is, but you know what I mean. Something which is not your sort of normal contemporary style of singing. That was a really interesting addition. But then there was the things like the choice of the backing vocal. It's not really a backing vocal, but the echo of her vocal into the background. The way that occasionally she was singing, occasionally she was almost speaking the lines. Different little instruments, little bell sounds that come in. All of these little things. It was very intricate in having details that were in there to enhance the song. Keep it as a metal song, but enhance it with other little sounds, often delicate sounds. And you know, this is one thing I've noticed, that sometimes when groups are trying to throw other sounds into metal, they shoehorn them rather awkwardly by trying to pick loud sounds and push them in. But you can also do it by taking delicate sounds and using them to enhance the areas of tone that maybe you don't already get in metal, because most of the sounds are quite harsh in metal. So, like I said, just very well constructed sonically. It had, however, two things that I would say I would probably put against it, in my opinion. As always, we're honest on this channel. Try to see the positive, negative and everything. And as much as I really liked it, the two things that maybe didn't work for me. First of all, the chorus section. You had a chorus, but you also had somewhat of a pre-chorus right before it. And that's where the double kick first comes in. And so the double kick comes in and it builds up very dramatically. And then a few bars later, you have a chorus where like the almost like choir, like backing vocals come in. The truth is, in that little space, in those little few bars, I don't think the double kick was necessary. Because in fact, the double kick coming in those few bars early did kind of detract from the drama of the chorus. So the chorus, when it came in, didn't have as much impact as I think it could have done if the double kick hadn't already been there. Yes, I know they put in that choral backing vocal, which was kind of your indication, but that on its own was not as powerful as suddenly everything turning from the delicacy of the verse to, suddenly a double kick appearing. So I think they could have held off on the double kick just a few bars longer, would have really helped the chorus have more impact. The other thing is, I must say, and you guys probably know which direction I'm going to go in this one, I think the song didn't need to go beyond its second chorus. I did like when you get the whistle flute come in after that, and to me it had a bit of an Irish feel. Sorry, but I really liked that. I really liked that bit. But I felt like that was building towards us having a big bridge. And as I say, a bridge can make or break a song. You can really take a song in an interesting direction. You can really ramp up to a final crescendo of a chorus, or, completely alter the direction that the song has set up to that point, or just do something that really builds upon what has already happened. However, in this case, I felt like that, if the bridge came in, it felt like it was building something. But when the growly bit came in, the problem is the song, as I always say, I'm not a big fan of that style of vocaling, but it can actually work. It can work. And as I often say, if it's only in the bridge, that's often the best case of when it works, because if it's only in the bridge, it gives a sudden shift in tone. It really becomes, you get this sort of atonal energy to it. But the reason I don't think it worked here was partly because the song was already so dramatic and her voice was so good at projecting the singing that, maybe for a band who are not maybe the best singers, or maybe their whole style is a little bit more rough and ready, then it can work. But for this, they'd already built this sort of beautiful, almost classical style of power and energy with detail. And, it was a very sort of, like I said, detailed sort of intricate power that they built up. This actually felt comparatively weak compared to the rest of the song. When the growling bit came in, it felt comparatively weak. The backing underneath it felt like it was plodding along at that point. The backing didn't do anything interesting to complement it. It was just like, well, here's kind of the same thing that we were doing earlier, but now instead of that really powerful singing, here's the growling. So to me, it can work in certain contexts, and I'm not saying that this was necessarily bad. I just don't think it added anything to the song, and that was rather problematic for me, because then it comes back around to the last chorus, and you kind of feel like the last chorus now has just been kind of led into, but it hasn't been sort of, it's not gone down in tone so as to make the last chorus sound bigger like a crescendo, or it hasn't been ramped up to either. You kind of feel, like I say, it just feels like all the pace is sucked out of the song, or all the drama is sucked out of the song in that bit. So for me, I must admit, like I say, I have a very difficult relationship with that kind of style of singing. It can work, and this was kind of nearly there, but to me, it just didn't really it didn't add anything to the song. It just felt kind of out of place, if I'm honest with you. So that was the other thing that didn't really work for me. We've often, in our Discord, we've had such long conversations about both Screamo and Growly singing, and me explaining I'm not in principle against it. It's just such a specific thing that it only works in very specific ways. Many different ways it can work, but it really has to do something to enhance the song without also, that you get my point. We could talk about this for hours. So for me, like I say, that bit just didn't work here. I think this song would have been better if it had been a little bit tighter, as in finishing after the second chorus would have been probably fine. And like I say, maybe just holding back on the double kicks until the actual chorus came in. Otherwise, though, like I say, that's me pointing out my faults on that. It's all very subjective in that sense, but just speaking as someone who's worked with music my entire adult life, but I do basically think this was a really, really interesting take on metal. For me, at least, it felt very novel. It felt very new. It felt very inventive, just original. So, and yet at the same time, taking notes from very sort of folky and more traditional styles of music. So I like the marriage of sounds here. Tonally, it was brilliant, and decent. I'm not going to call it a hook, but a decent chorus in this as well. The chorus, it was a simple melody, but it felt powerful. It felt blasted. So yeah, I basically really like this. Probably would be willing to check out more by this band as well. So Big thank you for recommending that one. As always, now then, therefore, get into the comments now. Tell me what you think, because that's just my opinions. Really, music is subjective. I'm just starting off the conversation. I really want to hear what you guys think as well, whether you know this band or not, whether you like it or not. And hopefully I'll be able to get into some of these comments and reply a bit as well. But it's really interesting to see what you guys think. You can also like and subscribe if you want to do the YouTubey stuff. And you can remember we've also got our other social medias linked in the descriptions below as well. Big thank you to our Patreon supporters for keeping this channel going, and thank you for making it through to the end of this video. So, until I hopefully see you soon in Japan for the next one, for now, it's going to be ciao ciao.